स्मेरवक्त्रं कृपापूर्णनेत्रं स्थिरं दीनमित्रं जनप्रीतिपात्रं सुविज्ञातशास्त्रं कषायाक्तवस्त्रं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे. My topic today is about Om. It was first decided Omkara in various Upanishads, but since it will take too long, and Swamini suggested me to concentrate on Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. So as per her suggestion and advice, I thought I will concentrate on Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad of the Om, but previously various other few Upanishads which talk about Om. I will present it and then I will slide to Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. Omkara is presented in all context. That's in Karma Kanda context also it is presented. In Upasana Kanda context also it is presented, and in Jnana Kanda also it is presented. So Omkara can be spoken of in all the three Kandas. Today here I am going to more concentrate on the Jnana Kanda of the Omkara, but the Karma Kanda and the Upasana Kanda will be mentioned, Karma Kanda also mentioned. As per the Karma Kanda is concerned, Omkara is used as invoking before any mantra is chanted, and if a priest has to start the yajna also, when Om is said, that means the yajna can be began. So in that way Omkara is used in the Karma Kanda before all the mantras, and the Omkara is more looked upon as the carrier of the mantra. And in the Upasana Kanda, Upasana can be done as Sakama Upasana and Nishkama Upasana. So in Sakama Upasana, the material benefits are gained for the material benefits sake, Omkara is, Upasana is done on Omkara, and for Nishkama Upasana comes under the Jnana Kanda of Omkara. So now I begin with this introduction. I just start with Kathopanishad. In Kathopanishad, Nachiketas is the student and Yamadharmaraja is the teacher. And as Swamini this morning she said, student is Uttama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari and Manda Adhikari. All three adhikaris are there for gaining this knowledge. Here Nachiketa stands exalted as Uttama Adhikari because only once it has been said to Nachiketas, and he is able to brief the entire teaching of the ritual, and it was because he was able to brief the ritual, and so that ritual itself was given the title Nachiketa Agni. With that says that Nachiketa is a Uttama Adhikari, and Nachiketa, he asks for 3 boons, and the third boon asked by Nachiketa is, some people say that there is life after death, and some people say there is no life after death, and so I have doubt in this, what happens to Atma after the fall of the body. What happens to Atma? He has a doubt, and he asks this doubt to his teacher Yamadharmaraja, and the teacher says that can be given in a brief, very briefly it can be said, and that is Om iti etat. Sarve vedaha yat padam amananti tapamsi sarvani cha yat vadanti yat icchantaha brahmacharyam charanti tatpadam sangrahena bravimi Om iti etat. And this Om is an alambana for gaining para and apara vidya. In Mundaka Upanishad also, Shaunakaha, who is Mahagrahastha Mahashalaha, and Angiras is the teacher, and Shaunaka asks Angiras Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati iti, he asked this, and so there Angiras says, Dve vidye veditavye paracha aparacha. And there through Dhanur Upasana, Omkara through Dhanur Upasana is mentioned there. And one more, where the important word that appears in Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad is Upanishadam Mahasastram. Upanishadam Bhava, which resides in the Upanishad, is the Maha-astram for gaining this knowledge and for gaining Apara Vidya. So, Upasana is highlighted in that mantra. One who is interested in material benefits also can do this Upasana on Omkara, and those who are interested in knowledge also can do this Upasana, who according to each one's desire they get the benefit. But the Upasana is one on Omkara. And Taittiriya Upanishad also there in Ashtama Anuvaka says Om iti Brahma, Om iti idam sarvam. And then it goes on to say that, like I said in the beginning, in the Karma Kanda, the invoking of the mantra begins with Omkara. That is highlighted in Taittiriya Upanishad. And now in Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad, Om iti etat aksharam idam sarvam. Sarvam hi etat Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. So Om is Sarvam. Sarvam is Brahma, Brahma is Atma, so Atma is Sarvam and Om is Atma, Brahma, Sarvam. Tasya Upavyakyanam Arabhyate. And there in the same Māṇḍūkya, now we are sliding, we have gone into Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. And what is Om is again there said as Para and Apara. And Bhavat Bhavishyat iti Sarvam Omkaraha Yat Cha Anyat Trikala Atitam Tadapi Omkaraha Eva. So Bhavat Bhavishyat, Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyat. All 3 periods, whatever is within 3 periods of time is also Om, and that is to be understood as Aparam Brahma, and what is Trikala Atitam is also Om, is to be understood as Param Brahma. And before going into the Omkara, I like to first go to the Atma. Even Gaudapada Ācāryā, before explaining the Omkara, he explains the Atma and then equates the Atma is Omkara. So first we will go into the Atma. Saha ayam Atma Chatushpad. Pratama Padaha Jagrita Sthanaha Bahif Prajnaha Stulabuk Vaishwanaraha. Atma obtaining in the waking state is endowed with various attributes makes the Atma as Saguna I. Dvitiya Padaha Swapnasthanaha Antaf Prajnaha Pravivikta Book Taijasaha. So Atma obtaining in dream state functions through projected dream body called Sukshma Shariram, and that is Taijasaha. And Tritiyav Padaha Sushupti Sthanaha Eki Bhutaha Ananda Book Prajnaha, obtaining obtaining while in sleep, Atma obtaining while in sleep, attributeless but in the dormant condition. All the attributes in a dormant condition, and therefore it's called Prajnaha. So we have the Atma divided into 3 parts, that is Pratamav Padaha, first Pada which is called the waking state, the second Pada which is the dream state, and the third Pada which is the deep sleep state, and the fourth Pada which is not any of these three padas. This fourth pada we will see it in mantra 7 of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad, and we'll see it in the mantra 7 of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. And having seen this Atma, we'll go into Omkara. Omkara is again divided into 4 parts. Chaturmatra Omkaraha. So, first matra is Akara, second matra is Ukara, the third matra is Makara, and the fourth, it is not called fourth matra, the fourth is the Amatra. And here beautifully the Upanishad presents this Amatra in the 7th mantra as why it is called Chaturtham. Chaturtham iti manyante. Why people who calls it as Chaturtham? Actually it is not fourth matra, matra or fourth pada. Why who calls it as Chaturtham is Mūdaha manyante. So here Mūdaha means avivekinaha, the one who has no discriminative capacity, who is not able to see what is Atma and Anatma. This discriminative capacity being not there, therefore the Upanishad says Mūdaha iti manyante. Upanishad doesn't say Mūdaha, Bhashyakara says Mūdaha. Okay? And Mūdaha is not to be translated as fool or anything. There also Bhashyakara explains it very clearly. It is, they may be intelligent in all other fields of Aparavidya, but those who are not inquiring into Paravidya is mentioned as here Mūdaha, that means Avivekinaha, those who don't have the discriminative capacity. Having got the capacity and not used it, that also is Kripanaha. What Swamini mentioned this morning. Kripanaha means having the capacity to discriminate but does not discriminate, does not use the capacity that has been given. Therefore, it is Kripanaha. We in Tamil, we say it is Kanjus. So they are, they have it but they don't want to use it. Manyante. So Akara, Ukara, Makara. Akara, Ukara, Makara and Amatra is Omkara. Omkara is to be grasped along with the Amatra. What is Amatra? Is a silence between two Omkaras. And the Omkara should be taken along with the silence. And now the Matra and the Pada is connected, is equated. So Matra is equated to the Pada, Pada is equated to the Matra. Two common features for equating the Matra and the Padas. Akara is equated to Virat, Vishwaha. Ukara is equated to Taijasaha, Hiranyagarbha. Makara is equated to Prajnaha, Ishwaraha. So Akara equation, why Akara is equated to Vishwaha, Virat is Apti and Adimatvam is there for both Akara and Virat or Vishwaha. Just as the A letter is the first, so too Vaishwanaraha, the Virat Purusha or the Vishwaha is supposed to be the first, the Vaker is supposed to be the first, and so it is Akara is equated to Vaishwanaraha. Apti is pervasiveness. Aptihi means pervasiveness. That pervasiveness is also is there for the Akara and Vaishwanaraha. Vaishwanaraha pervades the entire waking state and therefore is called Vaishwanaraha, and the Vaker pervades the entire waking prapancha and therefore is called Vaishwanaraha, and the waking state is pervaded by the Vaker and therefore pervasiveness is there for the Vaishwanaraha, that is Virat Purusha and Vishwaha, the Vaishwanaraha. And Ukara is equated to Taijasaha, Hiranyagarbha. The common feature is Utkarsha and Ubayatvat. Ubayatvam, sorry. Ubayatvam. Utkarsha means excellence. Ubayatvam means intermediateness. There's Akara, between Akara and Makara is the Ukara, therefore it is between the two Akara and Makara, and therefore it has the Ubayatvam. And the Taijusaha or the Hiranyagarbha is also between Virat Purusha and Ishwaraha, and therefore it is called Ubayatvam. And Ukara is Ukara excels than Akara, and the waker excels than the dreamer, and therefore it has the excellence of Ukara and Taijusaha Hiranyagarbha. And Makara is equated to Prajna and Ishwaraha. The common feature is Mitihi and Amitihi. Mitihi means measuring, Amitihi means absorption. The Akara and Ukara is absorbed into Makara, same way the waker and the dreamer is absorbed into the deep sleep, and therefore there is an absorption there in the deep sleep, and so it is Amitihi. And Mitihi means measuring, and Vishwaha Taijusaha, when absorbed into the deep sleep, there is a measure. How many hours the Vishwa is absorbed into the deep sleep, how many hours the Taijusa is absorbed into the deep sleep. The waker and the dreamer is absorbed for a particular time, and therefore this Makara serves as a measure for the waker and for the dreamer, and therefore both, that's why so Makara is equated to Prajna and Ishwaraha. Amatra is the Turiyam Brahma or Turiyam Atma. So with this the Akara is presented, and Omkara is presented as Chaturmatra, and Atma is presented as Chatushpat, 4. And now the mantra 7 of the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad is a very important mantra, and the mantra 7 talks about the Chatushpat of the Atma, and the mantra 12 talks about the Amatra of the Omkara. So both together is almost similar, and the two words that appear in both the mantras, Prapanchopashamam and Advaitam, is considered to be the most important words that appear in the two mantras, and so Gaudapadacharya has elaborately dealt with these two mantras, giving each word a chapter on its own. So we'll just look into the Sara of both the chapters. So the mantra, 7th mantra now. Na bahishprajnyaha na ubayatah prajnyaha na prajnana ghanam na prajnyam na aprajnyam is prameya pramatru vilakshanam, and adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam is prameya vilakshanam, and ekatma pratyasaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivam advaitam shantam shivam advaitam is it's a direct explanation of the Turiyam. I have to tell this word, okay. Upanishad doesn't talk about Turiyam, doesn't tell the word Turiyam, it says Amatra. Gaudapadacharya gives the word Turiyam to Amatra. Shankaracharya gives Turiyam to Amatra. And Saha Eva Atma Saha Vigneyaha, that is Atma, and that is to be known. Na Bahishprajnyaha. Bahishprajnyaha is one who is turned outward, that is the waker. Atma is not the waker, Atma is not the dreamer, Atma is not the sleeper, and there is an intermediary stage where he says Avyapadeshyam. Yeah, no, not, what's that? No. Prajnana ganam na prajnam na aprajnam. Ubayataf prajnam, sorry. Ubayataf. No, yeah, Bahish Pragyam is not the waker, and Ubayataf Pragyam na Apragyam Prana Prajnana Ganam. So there is talks about the intermediary stage wherein we usually say early morning, the person is sleepy but not awake. No, sorry, the person is awake but sleepy. I'm sorry. The person is awake but sleepy. That is, he is awake. Sleepy means he is not able to grasp anything, but he is awake. That's the intermediary stage. Some people call it that stage where you get premonitions and all. So that is also not Atma. Some people think that is Atma because it has been premonition means some ashariri voice you hear, and so they say God came and spoke to me, and so that is not to be taken as Atma. I mean, Atma means not to be taken as the truth, not to be taken as Satyam. Okay. So, and this is Pramatru Vilakshanam, and Prameya Vilakshanam is Adrishtam, Pratyaksha Pramana Agocharam is Adrishtam, Avyavaharyam, Agrahyam. Avyavaharyam is not available for transactions, Agrahyam is not available for grasping with the help of the karmendriyas. Hope non-Vedantins understand what is karmendriya, jnanendriya. Karmendriya are the sense organs of action. Jnanendriya are the sense organs of gaining knowledge. So with 5 sense organs of knowledge, that is eyes, nose, ears, the skin and the tongue, taste. Eyes see, ears hear, nose grasp the smell, and the tongue taste, and the skin grasp the touch, sparsha. So these are the jnanendriyas, and karmendriyas is the sense organs of action. So there are also 5. So it is not graspable by the karmendriyas, nor it has been seen by the jnanendriyas, adrishtam, agrahyam, and therefore it is not transactable, avyavaharyam. And alakshanam means alingam. There should always, when for inference, for anumana pramana to work, you should have you should have a linga. And that maybe that linga also could be taken as Atma. So it negates even the linga is not an Atma. It's an inferential clue. Linga means inferential clue. This is alakshana means alingam. And achintyam, it is inexperienceable. It is unimaginable, unconvincible and uncomprehendable. It is not available even for the buddhi as an object of the knower. It is the very knower. It's not available as the object of the knower, and it cannot be known as a thought. So it is achintyam. And avyapadeshyam, since it is achintyam, it is avyapadeshyam. It is not available for any description verbally, not available. And now directly he talks about what is Atma. Ekatma pratyaya saram. What is Ekatma pratyaya saram? Pratyaya saram. What is pratyaya is the apara, the all that was negated as Atma now is taken to be as the pratyaya here. So it is eye cognition in all the avasthas. Eye cognition in the Jagrata avastha, in the Sushupti avastha, and in the Swapna avastha. In all the avasthas takes place in the presence of Atma. We cannot say without which, because it is never without. Okay, so the Jagrat, that is the Vishwaha, is because of I, the Atma, and Swapna and the Sushupti, all is because of I, the Atma, and the 3 avasthas is taken to be the pratyaya, and that which is because of that vastu, that is ekarasam, that is always, and that is beautifully said in Gita as Sutre Maniganaiva. And in Dakshinamurti Stotram, Yasya eva spuranam sadatmakam asatkalpartakam basate, sada basate, Yasya eva spuranam. It is always sada basate, and not only as pure consciousness, it is as the waker, as the dreamer, and as the sleeper. I mean, there's no an English word called sleeper. As the person who is sleeping also sada basate as I. Without I, there is no us. The waker doesn't relate to this external world without I. The dreamer doesn't relate to the dream world without I. And in the deep sleep also, the waker and the dreamer is in a potential form. Therefore, there also the attribute, the waker and the dreamer as the attribute is available but not available for transaction. It's in a dormant state. And so the sadaspurate, so the other one I will explain it. So ekatma pratyayasaram. Then prapanchopashamam, I said we will see the summary of the whole karika. Shantam Shivam. Shantam means undisturbed. Undisturbed. Shivam is Ananda Swarupam. The Advaitam we will see. Chaturtam iti manyante saha atma sa vigneyaha. Okay. Then the 12th mantra, we saw the description of the Omkara as 3 matras, and so the 12th mantra talks about the Amatra. Amatraha Chaturtaha Avyavaharyaha Prapanchopashamaha Shivaha Advaitaha Evam Omkaraha Atma Eva Samvishati Atmana Atmanam Yaha Evam Veda. So here also the 2 words which appeared in the 7th mantra is appearing in the 12th mantra also. Prapanchopashamam and Advaitam is, so we will be talking about Prapanchopashamam and Advaitam. Gaudapada Ācāryā has exclusively dealt with those 2 mantras, 2 words. And what is Prapanchopashamam? Prapancha means world. Upashamam means negation of the world. So, it is not actually necessary to negate the Swapna world. On waking, everybody negates it, but there may be few people who think what was seen in the Swapna to be true. So, for those who think the Swapna is true, Gaudapada Ācāryā gives few explanation to negate the dream. First he negates the dream, and with the help of the dream as an example, he negates the waking state also. So here we have Gaudapada Ācāryā negating in as yukti, he takes yukti as the pramana and shruti as the pramana. And now we will see the yukti pramana. Shruti he takes the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he takes the Jyotif Brahmana as the example. He quotes the Jyotif Brahmana to explain the Shruti pramana, and yukti pramana is with logic. Gaudapada Ācāryā negates the Swapna Prapancha. Antasthanat gives the first hetu as Antasthanat. Antasharirasya madhye sthanam esham tasmat is Antasthanat. Here Antasthanat is the Swapna takes place within the body, and how big is the space within the body to hold an elephant or a mountain or any scenery. In Swapna definitely whatever is grasped in the Jagrat Avastha, what was it is projected in the Swapna. So the projection also has a huge world, and there are mountains, elephants. So how good can the elephant and the mountain be content in a small space, that is the body. So, Uchita Desha Abhavat, the Swapna is negated. Okay? Uchita Desha Abhavat. And the Purva Pakshi can say this is not a, that is Uchita Desha Abhavat. And one more the Gaudapada Acharya says is Yat Yat Antasthanam Tat Mithya, you cannot say. Whatever is inside, you cannot say it is Mithya. Gatavat. Grihe Gatavat. Gata can be, a pot can be inside the house, and then you cannot say the pot is Mithya because it's inside the house. So, Yat Yat Antasthanam Tat Mithya, you cannot say. Yata Gataha Grihe Antaha. So, that for that he says Uchita Kala, Uchita Desha is necessary for anything to be inside. Here in Swapna, Uchita Desha Abhavat, it is negated. Then Adirgatvat. Adirgatvat. Kalasya Gatva Deshan na Pashyati. Here Uchita Kala Abhavat Swapna Prapanchaha Mithya iti, it is established. Like in dream, you go, when you dream, you can even go sitting in Odisha, you can go even to Badrinath, you can go even to Rameshwaram, and you can come back also. But you know very well, if you have to travel from Odisha to Badrinath and to Rameshwaram and then and back to Odisha, how many hours it would take. But in dream, you go and the dream is said to be 20 minutes. I don't know, but it is said as in 20 minutes it's not possible. So, Uchita Kala Abhavat, it is, dream is negated. And Anubhava also, through Anubhava also you can say dream is negated. If somebody has been travelled with you in the dream to Badrinath, next day when you wake up, the person should say, I saw you in Badrinath last night. But he doesn't say that. No? He doesn't say that, okay? So, even the person who is lying down next to you doesn't travel with you in the Swapna. Even that person cannot say, yeah, you weren't there last night. Okay? So, even Anubhava, Swapna is negated. Then Jagrat Prapancha Vaitatyam. Jagrat Prapancha Mithyatvam is elaborately dealt with Gaudapada Acharya from verse 4 to 18. Jagrat Drishyanam Bhavanam Vaitatyam, this is to be proved, it's a pratigna, it's to be proved. And to prove a pratigna, we need inference, we have to use the inference, and inference has 4 factors or 4 components, that is Paksha, Sadhyam, Hetuhu and Drishtanta. Is 4 components are needed for proving an inference. What is Paksha? Paksha is about which I want to make an inference. And what Sadhyam is to be arrived at conclusion. And Hetu is the indicator or the reason. Drishtanta is through an example, it has to be proved. The inference has to be interpreted. So, here Jagrat Prapancha is the Paksha, Mithya is the conclusion to be arrived, that is the Sadhyam. Hetu, reasoning is said in the 6th verse as Adau ante yet nasti vartamane api tattada. Hetu is drishyatvat. Then whatever is objectified is mithya. Why? Because it is objectified. It is mithya. So, the drishtanta here is swapna. The swapna itself is been taken as the drishtanta. Why? It is swapna is taken because Gaudapada Acharya already negated swapna. So, now everybody is clear that swapna is not real. So with this example, the Jakrit is also not real is going to be proved. So Drishtantaha Swapnatvat Jakrit Prapancha Asti Drishyatvat. If you say Jagrat Prapancha exists because I see it, I experience it with my 5 sense organs, everything I experience it. Drishyatvat, it is Satyam. It is real. The same thing, if you say Jagrat Prapancha is real, Drishyatvat, Swapna Prapancha is also real, Drishyatvat. If you say Jakrit is real, you have to accept Swapna is real, and you have already negated saying Swapna is Mithya. So Drishyatvat Jakrit Prapancham api Mithya. Then the second argument, like Ado Vante Yet Nasti Vartamane api Tattada. What is not there in the beginning and what is not there at the end, which enjoys a temporary existence, is Mithya. Whatever enjoys a borrowed existence, whatever enjoys a temporary existence, dependent existence, is Mithya. Why? Anityatvat. Whatever requires something else to be existent, then it is Anityatvat, it cannot be Nityam. So Anityatvat, it is Mithya. Saprayojanam. If you say it is useful, in waking state, the waking world is useful. If you say if it is useful and therefore it is Satyam, that is also refuted. Even in Swapna, the one who dreams is hungry, he goes for trekking, and definitely it takes, he goes for trekking, and for trekking takes around 8-9 hours, and he may be hungry. He may take water, quench thirst, and he may be hungry, he eats food, he may be thirsty, he drinks water and quenches his thirst. And therefore, in the standpoint of the Swapna Prapancham, then because the Swapna Prapancham, the food and water, everything quenched the dreamer, and therefore there also there is usefulness. If you say usefulness is the reason for saying the Jagrat Prapancha is Satyam, then Swapna Prapancha is also Satyam, and already Swapna Prapancha is negated by you, and therefore the Jagrat Prapancha also is Mithya, because it also, though it has usefulness, it is Mithya. Only in the standpoint of the waker, the Jagrat Prapancham has usefulness, not in the standpoint of the dreamer, or not even in the standpoint of a deep sleeper. Therefore, Jagrat Prapancham is Mithya. And if you say clarity, in waking words are very clear and clearly experienced, and therefore it is real. In dream also, in the dream world, everything is clear, clearly experienced. If an elephant chases you, you run away. So that's also clearly experienced, you run for your life. And so if you say because of clarity, because of experience, your Jagrat Prapancha is real, then Swapna Prapancha is also real. And if you accept if you say Jagrat Prapancha, then you have to accept Swapna also to be real, and already you have negated the Swapna Prapancha. Bahihi Chetasa Grihitam is externally, I can objectify. If objectivity is the criteria to prove that Jagrat Prapancha is real, the same thing Swapna Prapancha also will be real if you say there is objectivity in the waking state. So even in Swapna, there is objectivity, you are the observer and the Prapancha is observed, and therefore that also is real if you say objectivity is the criteria. Then, with these points, with the help of Swapna, Gaudapadacharya establishes the Vaithatyam, that is Mithyatvam of Jagrat Prapancha. And what negating all the Jagrat need not negate the Sushupti, because Sushupti is only, again, that's also temporary for few, and in Sushupti also the one who Sada Spurati is Turiyam Atma, So Atma is to be understood as Satyam, and these three states, Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, is to be understood as Mithya. And why the waking state is to be taken as Satyam by most non-Vedantins is because of ignorance. So that because of ignorance there are a lot of misconceptions, and those misconceptions are the reason for aviveka also, not doing any vichara also. So conclusion is, I, the observer, Turiyam, is to be understood as Satyam, and all the observed is to be understood as Mithya, is the conclusion arrived by the Upanishad and by all the Vedantins who know as Mithya. This, all the three state of life, that is waking, dream and deep sleep, is negated as Mithya. Vaitatya Prakaranam, this Dvaita is negated in Vaitatya Prakaranam. Even in the Jagrat world, though we perceive all the objects, though we perceive everything external to us, the content of that you perceive is the content of the perceiver also. So the perceiver is Asti, Bhati, Priyam Bhavati. And the Namarupa also is Asti, Bhati, and therefore Priyam also is there. So the content of the Namarupa and the content of the I is existence, where any object you take an object, you say pen means pen is. That easiness of the pen is the content of the pen, is a swarupa of the pen. And the pen, when you take, it's a word, and the word has a meaning that reveals an object, and the word that reveals the object is nothing but knowledge. So when you say pen, it is ease and knowledge. Everything in this world is ease and knowledge. Any object you take, any object you objectify, we cannot objectify it without existence and knowledge. The content of the observer also, without the observer being existent, observation is not possible, and therefore the content of the observer is also existent, and is and knowledge is knowledge also. Along with the knowledge alone, the observer observes the entire world. So the content of the observer is and knowledge, that is existent knowledge, and existent and knowledge is everything, and that existent and knowledge alone is Ananda also. That's why when the I contacts the external world, there is an Ananda appearing out of the association with the world, is because the Swarupa of the I is Ananda. Ananda is not Vishaya Ananda, it is Swarupa Ananda. And you can take that in clay pot example also. Clay, there the clay pot is the Karya and the clay is the Karana. Here both the Karana and the Karya is objectified. But here when you say Asangoham, the word is objectified by you, the objectifier. Here the word reveals its meaning as the I, the observer itself. So here the Karana of the word Asangoham is yourself, and the word Asanga is the Karya, which the content of the Karya, the word Asanga, is the content of the I, the observer of the word Asanga. I'm not going deep into it because it will take a long time. I'm just mentioning it, giving in the gist. This is the Jnana Kanda, and so it is Atma, Chatushpat, and Amatra, that is Turiyam, is Atma, one and Brahma. That's why Atma, Brahma, Turiyam is all synonyms, and it's all for want of words to explain. You cannot give a name to that Vastu that exists. So the existent, that Vastu cannot be given a name. Just for understanding purpose, the words are given as Brahma, Atma, Turiyam, all that. Okay? And we come into the Upasana context. I told you earlier, it can give you Sakama and Nishkama can be done, and Nishkam. So any action has its own result. So Sakama, you have material benefits. Nishkama, you have the spiritual benefits. And so Akara, Pradana, Omkara, Upasana, that is the whole gross cosmos should be visualized and done Upasana on Omkara Upasana. Pradhanam is Akara. And since the Akara pervades and expands, so the benefit also is pervades and expands in terms of family and prosperity. If you take the Nishkama Pala, the Akara, Pradana, Omkara, Omkara, Nishkama Pala definitely will give you the punya for gaining this knowledge. If at all, in case by chance in this birth we are not able to gain that, then definitely the next birth you will have family is students. You will have an ashram, you will have big number of whole students. Entire world will be looking forward for you as a father, as a guru is always plays the father role also. And so definitely in one of the Janmas, Pujya Sri Swamiji must have done the Omkara Upasana, and he's got so many students and he fathered so many of us. Okay, so that could be a Nishkama Pala also. Then Swapnasthanaha, Taijasaha, Ukaraha, Dvitiya Matra, Utkarshaha, Ubayatvat, Va, Utkarshati, Havai, Jnana Santatim, Samanascha, Bhavati, Asya, Abrahma Vidkule na Bhavati. Because of the similarity of excellence and intermediateness of Ukara and Swapna, increases the range of knowledge and becomes equal to all is the benefit of Ukara, Pradana, Omkara, Upasana. And Makara, Pradana, Omkara, Upasana is very interesting because Makara has got Miti measuring capacity. So the person enjoys the material benefit, enjoys all success in this world because he is able to measure everything and everyone properly and could take a good judgment. And so because of his judgments, he has success in life. He takes a right decision and he or she has a success in life. One becomes the ground of resolution of all problems also. He is able to solve the problems of oneself, and so he can become the successful person in the world. So this is, and Chandogya presents Omkara Upasana as Udgitam, Taittiriya presents Omkara Upasana as Pranava. And so with this I conclude. And those who, and in Prashna Upanishad also, Omkara, Akara Pradana Omkara, Ukara Pradana Omkara, and Makara Pradana Omkara Upasana is said, and the benefits are also said, similar to that was said in Māṇḍūkya only. And so those who, okay, fine, like Uttama Adhikari gains knowledge when and there when Shravanam happens, The Madhyama Adhikari and the Manda Adhikari, for them upasana has to be done to ward off the Viparita Bhavana. Upasana is done by a person who has already done the Shravanam. So they know what is what. They know what is Akara, Ukara and Makara and Turiyam. They know, but again there is a word but. It means it is not. There is no Nishta, Jnana Nishta. The knowledge is there, but Nishta is not there. So for those people also, to Viparita Bhavana to go away, Omkara Upasana has to be done. What is Viparita Bhavana? Taking the body to be the I, taking I to be the body, taking myself to be the body, mind sense complex, and taking the I to be the mind, body, mind sense complex, and taking the world to be real, taking whatever vyavahara or experience that is gained to be real. So this Viparita Bhavana being there, Upasana is very important. And what does this Omkara Upasana do is, it wards off the Viparita Bhavana. How? By giving a sharp and subtle mind to grasp the Paravidya, the Brahman, to grasp the Turiyam or the Chatushpat, the Atma. So the Upanishad says Omkara Purvam Pravrittanam Kriyanam Palavatvam Yasmat Tasmat Omkara Brahma iti Upasita iti Vakyartam. Since all the actions when started with utterance of Om will become fruitful, may one do meditation on Om as Brahma. Om Tat Sat.
Ācāryā Maheśwarī ji, for her honest study of the Upanishad and elaborately going through the Māṇḍūkya Karika as well, and even here and there she cited Shankara Bhashya on the Upanishad, and of course Acharya Pada's Karika Bhashya is also present. The focus is on Omkara, but a lot of time has been devoted for Avasthatraya Mimamsa. Why? Because I think all Upasanas are Shraddha Mula, and Upasana can never be evaluated on the basis of universal experience. Universal experience is one thing, for that Jnana is Pramana. But here Shraddha comes to picture, and that's why Upasana is a Chitta Shuddhi Marga, and it is not like Jnana, which is the only way to attain enlightenment. And that's why in any Upasana Kanda it is Shraddha, Apta Vakya, Guru Vakya or whatsoever, it becomes very important. So in Upasana it is neither Pratyaksha nor Anumana, or not even Kevala Anubhava. It is qualified Anubhava, Savishesha Anubhava, and Savishesha Anubhava is of course propelled by Shraddha. That's how it goes on, and that's why it is a third Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Like the four Kandas we have Karma Kanda, the four Margas are there, Bhakti, Karma, Upasana and Jnana. Sometimes Bhakti and Upasana are clubbed together, there is nothing wrong. But here, while equating Omkara with the Avasthatraya, it is an Arthavada. Because people, when they were just happy that just by chanting Omkara, you will be getting the enlightenment and become the witness to all the avasthas, becoming witness to the three avasthas, that is not so. So the real purpose of Omkara is to understand the Avasthatraya Mimamsa. For that, it is a prarochana, whether getting phala or not, and it's all parochana, and that's why it is Arthavada. In that sense, much of the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad has the emphasis on Omkara and its Arthavada Prayojana than the analysis of the Avasthatraya. And that has been much better done in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Munikanda, while Yajnavalkya will be giving a discourse and answering the question of Janaka. There the Avasthatraya Mimamsa has been done much better. And of course, we have the portion of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad also at the end, where Prajapati and Indra, representing the deities and demons, they go to Prajapati, the Indra and Virochana, they go to Prajapati and they get initiated, and then for a long period it goes on. Virochana is satisfied just by the body itself and he comes back, and that is the bias to the Jagrata Avastha, we know that. But in the Upanishad Māṇḍūkya, we don't get that much of deeper analysis, and that's why even the Mūktika Upanishad says Māṇḍūkyam ekamevalam mumukshunam vimuktaye. It is again an Arthavada, but only through the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad we get a bigger picture of that, and that is for this reason Shankara Bhagavad gives a very, very elaborate bhashya on this portion of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And also Māṇḍūkya Karika has been written by Gaudapada. Some people, including Madhvacharya and others, they opine that the Agama Prakarana of Māṇḍūkya Karika is part of the Upanishad itself, but the Shankara Parampara, it clearly says no, Agama Prakarana is also part of Karika. In the Karikas of almost coming up to 200 verses in the Māṇḍūkya Karika, Gaudapada gives a logical exposition of Avasthatraya, and it's very good, and even Shankara Bhagavad has elaborated very clearly in his commentary. But scholars have a different opinion regarding the Māṇḍūkya Upanishad Bhashya, because the benedictory verses there, two benedictory verses are there. In one benedictory verse, the meter has been, the meter is eared, there is an error in the meter. Shankara Bhagavad could not have done so. That's why some people opine that it may not be penned by Shankara Bhagavad. But whatever so, just by the Karika and Karika Bhashya, we can get lot of inputs. So keeping all this in the mind, Omkara ultimately remains as an Upasana. It is belonging to the Upasana Kanda. It is not at all to the Jnana Kanda. It is only a pointer towards Jnana Kanda, and that has been indicated earlier also. Jnana Kanda means it is the Upasana Bhaga. To that Omkara is restricted. If not, because Omkara at any sense, it is an utterance. An utterance means we need Vak, we need Vagindriya. All these will again limit ourselves to either Jagrat or Swapna, and from both the perspective we know that they are Mithya. And here I should clarify the word Mithya. Mithya is not something which is non-existent. Mithya is relative. Mitaha, that is the word. Mitaha and Mithya both are avyayas. They mean togetherness, relativity, tentativeness. And so this sadasad vilakshanatva, the ambiguity, the paradox between real and unreal, and that is called Mithya. Why it is so? Because it is dependent on Desha and Kala. When anything is dependent on Desha and Kala, the element of indescribability naturally creeps into it, and this indescribability itself makes it imperfect. And in this sense it has been told Mithya, because for everything we have the Adhisthana Brahma. The world is vivarta of what? Of Brahma. It means Brahma is always the real. World is, many people want to project Advaita in a bad light and to make an easy Purvapaksha of that, rather a seeming Purvapaksha of that. They try to say that Advaitins are Jagan Mithyavadi, means they negate the world itself, and it is completely told as fiction or false. False in the sense it is not non-existent, it is relative. And it has been very clearly said, if not, Shankara Bhagavad would not have given the Satta Traividya, where he has given an element of reality to Swapna also as Pratibhasika. We have Pratibhasika Satya and Paramarthika Satya and Vyavaharik Satya. So to Pratibhasikatva also has given Satta. It means Shankara could never be allegated on these grounds. Well, that being the case, we know that Omkara is a Upasana Kanda element, and it has nothing to do with Jnana Kanda. But certainly, there are many people who will be getting initiated into these things. They will get focus of that. As Advaita, as Appai Dikshita at one place says, yesterday that discussion also came. तथाप्यनुग्रहादेव तरुणेन्दु शिखामणेः अद्वैतवासना पुंसाम् आविर्भवति नान्यथा. It is the belief of Appaya Dikshita. He was a great Shiva Bhakta. He says, because of the blessings of Shiva, we get Advaita Vasana Pumsam Avirbhavati Nanyata. And this verse is attributed to Vidyaranya also. Some people who are devotees of Vishnu may say Vishnu's grace. Tathapyanugraha deva Vamshi Vibhushitasya cha Advaita Vasana Pumsam Avirbhavati Nanyata. Like that also. No problem. But whatever, it is all for Chitta Shuddhi, and there are many paths of Chitta Shuddhi. Not the only way, but in the case of Atma Jnana, only Jnana, nothing else. All other will become Chitta Shuddhi sadhana. That's why we have different yogas, and Omkara Upasana is one such thing. And in the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad at the beginning also, the Udgita Upasana is given for this reason. In Kena Upanishad, in Prashna Upanishad, in Taittiriya Upanishad, and in other minor Upanishads which are out of the boundary of, out of the purview of the 12 or 14 major Upanishads, we get Omkara's Prastava, and in many other treatises also, apart from the Upanishads, we have in the Puranas, we have in the Agamas, everywhere, whether it is Kalika Purana or whether we have the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. In all these places, we have importance given to Omkara as an Upasana means. And hence, Omkara should be taken as part of Upasana Kanda and not as part of Jnana Kanda. Thank you.
Can I take some time? Few more minutes. Omkara is a Shabda.
Yes.
And that Shabda means definitely it is a word.
Yes.
And word means it has meaning. And so the meaning will definitely be, if you look into the meaning of the Om, the Sara of all the Pratyaya is finally Brahman. So it is Para. So that's why the Turiyam or the Chatushpat of Atma is to be taken as Shuddha Brahman, and this is the Saguna, and the Saguna Brahma Upasana should definitely lead to Nirguna,
yes, Chitta Shuddhi.
Understanding.
Chitta Shuddhi.
No, Nirguna understanding. Omkara, just as an Alambana, definitely it has a result of Chitta Shuddhi, and it has the Viparita Bhavana to be gone, and so the Omkara finally resides in the Amatra. That's why along with Amatra only the Omkara is taken. That's
then it comes to silence.
That's what, that silence is Amatra. That silence is only Brahma.
You told Omkara is first, you made the Pratigna, Omkara is sound. And now you are saying Pratigna Bhanga by saying that the silence is there.
Omkara is Brahma. That is
no, you said that Omkara is Shabda. And Amatra is silence.
I didn't use the Shabda. I only said for Upasana it is
you said Omkara is Shabda first.
Omkara Sabda is for Upasana. But
well,
for understanding, and like in the morning you said inclusive Vetiriktam, no? What is that? Inclusively different. So yeah, Brahman is inclusively different.
Yes, certainly,
so
but
everything is Brahman. So finally, if Upasana, you cannot just say Upasana doesn't lead to Jnana Kanda, right? Upasana does lead you to Jnana Kanda.
That is Jnanarhata.
Omkara does lead you to Jnana Kanda.
It is Jnanarhata. We are qualified to have knowledge, qualified to have Atma Jnana.
In that sense, any pramana.
Yes, Atra Veda, Aveda, the Omkara is also included. That's why I am quoting Bradaranya. Yes.
And so finally, it is the word has to be contemplated, and the word does its job of, that's a job mean revealing its meaning, and
yes.
It goes away.
Yes.
And it goes away, it is what is there is Ekarasam. It is what is there is Akhandartha, right?
What
finally,
I meant is
Upasana
Omkara as Upasana, whether it is Prasankhyan or whatsoever, just by the recitation of Omkara, Shankara, he gives befitting answer to the Prasankhyana Vadians. So as prasankhana, it will have chitta shuddhi. Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. But what I meant is, it cannot be equated to jnana, atma jnana, because it is the preparation. If not, what happens in the avasthatraya, people who have no understanding of Omkara whatsoever would also be liberated. That possibility is always there, because it is a form. Any form has to dissolve, and that's why that amatra is there. Amatra means what? It is anahata. But
So
ahata.
Upasana stands only in the sound of Om, doesn't go into Amatra.
That's what I meant.
Doesn't go into
Yes.
Yeah, that is agreed. Doesn't go into Amatra. It just stays as a sound.
Yes.
But when it goes into Amatra, it is Jnanakarya.
Yes, then Omkara will not be Omkara. In the worldly sense, it will not be Omkara.
All finite is
Yes.
finally
Yes.
is infinite.
That's true. That is true.
Thank you.